Hey, what's up, everybody? Is Little Mermaid a biopic? Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Chris. Alongside me is my co-host, Brianna. What's up?
Hey, everybody. We want to give a shout out to all the moms out there listening that believe in all the conspiracy stuff
All of them.
and spirits that we've been talking about. And yeah, we're in the home stretch of quarantine.
Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully because we're in California again.
Yeah.
I don't know if, we've said it a million times, but we're in California, so.
Protesting, it's been insane. So I don't know if they're doing things too early. Like,
Who
we're gonna have
knows?
to wait
It's
and
hard
see.
it always feels weird in the moment, but it'll probably never feel like it was worth it or we did enough. It's hard to tell in the moment, but we're doing what we're doing. I'm taking advantage of it in terms of family time, and it's an introvert stream, so it's not like I'm complaining. But I have a protest. I have a mini protest I have to talk to you about. I'm protesting.
Lord.
You know who I'm protesting? I'm protesting Dunkin' Donuts. Because Dunkin' Donuts did me dirty.
Oh, was it the breakfast situation?
That was the breakfast situation.
Yeah.
So I got up a little earlier than the rest of the clan out here in the house.
Can I cut you off for just a minute? Let's
Like you do.
Let's rephrase that. He was the one who went to purchase it,
Mm-hmm.
but I was the one who had to drink it. So I think technically they did me dirty.
Well, maybe, depending on what was in it. So I went to Dunkin' Donuts. I was like, let's mix it up. But like we usually go to the standard Starbucks, all that stuff, because we're all puppets here. That's the number one case for the proof of government conspiracies is we're all stuck on Starbucks. So I went to Dunkin' Donuts and I ordered just standard drive-through, like as you do, blah, 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 and you like your drinks hot, like no matter what the temperatures. We could be in the middle of Death Valley, in the middle of summer, and you'll take your lattes hot. Like it's bizarre to me.
It just changes the taste to and it's like you go to the coffee shop, you look forward to that taste, and if it just doesn't taste right, when it's cold it tastes so different.
The weird thing is that actually I'm calling you bizarre, but I'm bizarre in my own right because I do drink hot coffees, but by far like iced is I'll drink iced coffees in the frozen tundra. So anyway, so you like your drinks hot, like you like it like blazing hot and that kind of thing. So I ordered it hot in the standard drive-through ordering, and they repeated and everything, and I heard hot, and I got to the window and they handed me my coffee or whatever, and they handed another iced coffee or an iced latte in their case, and I said, well, this is not the right. Sorry, I was much nicer than that. Believe me, please believe me. I was like, hey, sorry, I ordered a hot. And the guy's like, oh, the first guy, not the villain in this scenario. The first guy said, oh, that's fine. You're good. Like we'll make you another one. You want this drink? It's not a big deal. Like we're just gonna throw. I was like, I guess if you're offering, like I'm not gonna turn down a free drink. So I was just sitting there. Like 30 seconds later, a different employee walks up. He said, hey, everything okay? I was like, yeah, I'm just waiting for a drink. They screwed up the second drink. He's like,
Did you say screwed up, or did you say?
I don't know what I said. I said it. I probably said, my personality. I'm not like to clear things up to. So I'm like super nice guy. I'm like very please and thank you. I'm very like, oh, like I might have said it weird or something. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, they're remaking the drink. He's like, is that the drink? And he pointed inside the middle of my car. I was like, yeah, that's it. They said I could just keep it. It's not a big deal. He's like, can I see it? And so I was like, yeah, sure, I guess so. And I handed him a drink, and he's like, all right. Right, and trash can at least. Like, he turns around, walks maybe 2 steps, just dumps it out.
Did he come back and give you the empty cup?
No, it was one step away from that.
He just said, can I see it? Like
he said, can I see it?
Like, what is wrong with you? Okay? Like what makes me mad is like, here we are. We don't have jobs right now. You have a job. You guys all have jobs right now. Like, okay, maybe it's Dunkin' Donuts and you're not thinking you're getting
free donuts. I mean, I'd take it.
Whatever you
Sounds
would.
good.
You totally
Sounds
would.
like a sweet job.
But, so I'm just kind of like, I get, we're in the middle of a pandemic and it's just craziness right now. But, like, it's just like, wow. Like, it just makes me mad. And then, so continue your story. But yeah, I just am like, ugh.
No, that was it. I mean, he just like,
No, but then the next guy does he bring it back to you or?
No, that was it. That was it for my free drink days. And I wasn't even like, it's not one of those things where you see that a lot in places like Starbucks and stuff like that. If they fuck up your order, they're gonna like, they'll say, "Oh, sorry, like you can just have that one."
Did you write a review yet?
No, I'm not that type.
Yeah, see, I'm not that type either. But for shit like that, I'm like, because that's just like the other guys. Oh no, you can just keep it, and then his manager comes out and takes it from you. The manager,
I don't think it was. I think it was someone who's trying to be manager. I think it's someone's like, "I'm gonna get extra points for this."
Like, no, he was just being like, "Fuck that guy. I'm going to just dunk, whatever, Dunkin' Donuts,
Drunkenly
dunk the drink.
Who knows
out.
what's happening at Dunkin' Donuts?
So I'm just like, ugh, we got to write a review. That just reminded me.
That's fine. I'm over it already. I just thought it was an amusing story.
But then I was like all freaked out. He brings me
you
this
wouldn't
coffee,
drink it.
and I'm all excited. And then he tells me a story, and I'm like, what if they spit in my drink? Because they sound like vindictive assholes.
Well, there was at least one who was vindictive. Ugh. Maybe he's just a no guff kind of guy. Maybe he's not going to spin. He's just like, these guys aren't getting free drinks.
I think, honestly,
I know these scams.
I feel like everybody's on edge right now. And I don't think that that's an excuse, but I'm seeing it more. Like when we're out driving, oh my God. If you, when you're at a red light and when it turns green, if you're not gunning it right when it turns green, people are honking. Like, it's just like, whoa. Like, are we living in New York now? Because, like, where y'all need to go?
I'm driving here.
Majority of you aren't working. So, where the fuck are you going? Well, to the beach?
Like everybody else? A lot of people in South Sea, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. And speaking of the beach, let's get into our topic. That was a decent accidental subject. Because you're going to talk about the species that you think are floating around on the beach.
Yes. Today, some of you know what?
In this case, sometimes I have you take the wheel, but this time you're going to take the wheel of the ship on this. Tell us about what you think.
I'll tell you a tale of the bottomless blue and the hay in a southern hee-ho.
Just make it up. Those aren't the lyrics. Those are 100%.
For you and the mysterious battles below.
Battles below.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Anyways, yes, mermaids, sirens, whatever you want to call them. What's the difference? Sirens are supposed to be really
They're the nasty ones, right? Evil. They're like the...
And mermaids are more mystical, magical, and mischievous. Not always bad. So, so
they're just little tricksters.
Topic, I am so pumped because I do believe they're real.
So we're going to be talking about mermaids and sirens and the fact that Brianna Kaye, to my left,
that's me,
thinks that they're 100% real. Mm-hmm. Always believing. That's what I love about you, babes, is that you are...
The thing is, okay.
The sky is open for you.
Let's get factual here. Okay, from caveman days over 30,000 years ago.
Well, there's some thought.
Years ago.
Yeah, they've seen some stuff. So let's get into kind of the myth of mermaids in kind of a solid contextual thing. First ones that for sure recorded is Babylon. Am I off with that? About 2,000 years ago.
Oh, myths? Are you talking about?
Like the first time mermaids showed up, like essentially in the books.
Since the beginning of time. Tale as old as time.
But where were they showing up? So was there like cave drawings of like half fish, half humans?
Yes. That's why it's baffling and it's so fascinating, because that's the proof right there. Like, and for me, like, I automatically take it as like, okay, well, did we evolve from mermaids or did we evolve into mermaids, like part of our species? Because there's lots of theories that
I don't know about that.
I just keep an open mind.
We lost the fins.
Obviously, some people don't, but
well, I mean, as far as now, so we'll get into some of the legends and some of the stuff that's kind of been written history, but in terms of like an evolutionary perspective, I don't know if there's much.
I have a good evolutionary story.
No, you have a great... I've never heard anybody say I've ever...
There's one evolutionary story. Like, we've all heard of people... I've known people growing up that have had, like, web...
Who smell like fish down there?
Or... Oh,
Is that not an evolutionary thing?
I can't.
Sorry, go ahead.
Fuck you! Why? Oh my god. Okay. Gross.
That's nasty.
Some men smell fishy.
Oh,
together, too,
100%.
So don't
It
just
ain't-
blame the ladies. It's always the fucking females that smell like fish.
We're talking about
Fuck
mermaids.
that
We don't talking about mermen. There's probably some stanky ass dudes who probably evolved from
Anyways, so with evolution, what they
fish
say
smell. Don't
is
know
a
no genders.
possibility is that back, 30 million years ago, when the first men roamed the earth, when they would go and try to hunt for fish to eat, it's like they would stay out there all day in the water, so their feet were always submerged in water, and they say over time they started to get the web feet, and they started to evolve to where they can stay in the water for longer periods
said
of
that?
time. Oh my god, I read that article like
Web feet.
so long ago. And then so eventually half their bodies turned into fins. And
But
therefore-
that's a far
one
stretch
theory.
from,
That's
and
one
that's
theory. I
like
don't
you
think
could
it's a far
say,
stretch.
and you could say that because of the web feet thing. Why wouldn't we?
Fucking, if you believe in Darwin theory, it makes
Well,
complete
it could
sense.
make some. It makes sense that we far back, we evolved from some fin creature or whatever. But why not ducks? I mean, we could all be.
Well, it's
duck
funny that you
human
say that.
hybrids.
It's funny you say that because in Greek mythology, the sirens were originally
So dainty.
called
For those on audio only, I'm drinking out of a straw, and it's a beautiful straw. It looks so dainty, and it looks so beautiful.
and you're making so much noise while you do it.
making a
Fucking
lot of
jingle
noise.
bells over here. Big Lebowski drinking his White Russians.
Okay.
Anyway, so it's like when you look at like Greek mythology originally, like you were saying, ducks, it wasn't ducks, they were like depicted as being like half like bird species, and then it turned into like them being mermaids, like the half,
So there's some
tail.
I did see some theories or some tales, a whale of a tale that
Literally.
that a lot of the Greek mythology, the sirens actually not half human, half fish, but they're half bird, half fish.
Yes. Like they originally started out like that. So I don't know with Greek mythology if it changed, because you know how the Romans like to make everything their own. So if they changed
Thieves.
it to make it into sirens being mermaids, or if these half bird siren species, half human, evolved into also maybe shapeshifters. We can go back there.
Shapeshifters, big up to all my shapeshifters out there.
Hey, can we throw in a fun fact?
Isn't every fact of ours a fun fact?
The word
No, definitely not.
mermaid
I know this one.
came from an old English word,
I know.
mer, which basically means sea. And mermaid basically means maid of the sea,
Mm-hmm.
which, I mean, that second part is obvious, but I thought that's pretty cool about Mer. I used
Mer.
to call her a girl Mer in school. Her name was Marcella, but I call her Marcella. I still
So
call her that.
the first fact was a fun fact. That second fact about that lady, not a fun fact.
Yeah, because I made up a song for her.
Oh,
She hated it.
we're going down the rabbit hole of
But she
not
loves
fun.
me. But she loves me now. I remember I saw her on Facebook, and I was like,
I don't-
Marcella.
Nobody knows who this is. Nobody. This is
Whatever.
this is for
hope
one
she's
person.
listening.
Marcella, I hope you're listening
It's
because you're the only one who's sticking around
actually,
now.
But
Marcella.
she let me call her Mer.
She let you call you Mer. So they.
Who knew she would be
So
named
you're,
after a mermaid?
You're arguing that that's been seen in case. So they're interpreting.
Again, going back to like my whole UFO conspiracy, like they've been depicted like till from the beginning of time. So it's
So you
another,
can
it's
interpret-
another good argument that they did actually exist. And then
And I think that to give some
sorry, they do still exist. Go ahead.
whatever, I don't know. I give up. I think to give some credence to that, I do think that there is a distinct possibility of creatures, especially back then, that have gone extinct since we started recording history, since we started really exploring the ocean. Because the ocean, even now, the ocean is a vast unknown area compared to what we know about, say North America. The two I mean, there's a few more. There's Antarctica and stuff like that, but the two biggest for me, from what I've seen, the two most uncharted areas are the rainforest, because it's so dense and we still haven't gone in to it, and the ocean. So there could have been back in the day, like some kind of species that existed that was
Back in the day.
back in the day. Yeah, there could have been, and there could be now. But as far as we know, that there hasn't been a lot of
Riddle me this.
evidence
How much?
so far.
How many species do we know in the ocean exist?
4,000. Hold on, I'm gonna get this right. 4,501,000,000.
Definitely wrong.
I'm the Jacques Cousteau.
We know what 10% of what?
Probably. Here's the thing, though, and here's the thing: is that let's get into before we get too sidetracked, because we're tangent city on this podcast. But let's get into the historical aspect of it, and then we could talk about what we think might be lying underneath the waters right now. So you're saying that there's been documented, discoveries of
30 million years ago.
cave drawings.
Yeah,
Well, not 30
our
million.
ancestors.
30,000. We haven't been running around 30 million years.
Well,
Wait, what conspiracy is that?
I'm just saying. I think we've been around a lot longer than you think.
Like we humans?
Yeah.
But from what?
We've probably come from other.
Oh, so you're saying instead of, so you're theory, and this is let's mark this as episode 86. You're saying that you have a theory bubbling around in your head right now that humans, instead of, because I think they could census now and it's shifting. And last time I checked in on my whole anthropology research from when I was going to college, I think 40,000 years ago is when they kind of marked human evolution. Like when humans, so there's there's all kinds of discoveries that are kind of the missing link. They've found all kinds of stuff that are proto-humans and stuff like that. But the human an evolutionary Homo sapien is marked at about 40,000 years. You're saying that instead of them evolving from these proto-humans and these apes that were slowly turning into what we know as us, you're saying that they came down to Earth at 40,000 or before?
I think they were here before.
Then we just haven't discovered the.
I just maybe think
because
that
they've
we're doing
discovered
the technology.
I mean, they've discovered all kinds of proto-humans again. They've discovered all kinds of ancient apes and all kinds of dinosaurs and all kinds of things. So you're saying your belief is that one day the scientific world is going to be blown away because they're going to find a Homo sapien that's like 300,000 years old, based on
They probably just haven't
intuition, your psychic intuition.
They probably just haven't found, or they haven't been able to, like the Da Vinci Code. They just haven't put all the puzzle pieces together.
But they haven't. So I think the only thing that can mark that is that they haven't discovered it. I don't think that
There's a lot of things out there that make scientists go and archaeologists go and paleontologists go so that they just don't know and they just can't understand.
I mean, I don't think they've found it. You could argue, I mean, that based on the argument, you can argue that there was all kinds of, because there was winners and losers. We all know that, and I don't know what area we're getting to. We're getting definitely off mermaids, but that Neanderthals were running around the same time as Homo sapiens, and they ended up losing that evolutionary battle or whatever. You can argue that some of these older pre-40,000-year-old fossils that they've discovered that are proto-humans essentially were around at the same time as Homo sapiens, but they haven't really found any that marked it before 40,000 years. So I don't know. I mean, I think that's we're going into like what could be classified as a possibility, but not necessarily,
Yeah. But
back.
I know, again, the ocean is a big place, and there's a lot of
So-
stuff hidden underneath.
Oh, of course. So, well, getting back into that. So, Homo sapiens, I think that this, as far as evidentiary, what's out there in terms of evidence right now, I think that it marks us at 40,000. So, you're saying that at 30,000, around 30,000 years ago.
That's when they marked seeing these seeing these pictures depicted on the walls.
That's when scientists currently carbon date these paintings of kind of hybrid, half fish, half human creatures.
Yeah, we'll actually post that on our Instagram page, some images, because it's when I saw those for the first time.
Well, I mean, I think that
really cool.
the beautiful thing about, like, one of the things that intrigues me so much about archaeology is that you can, who knows? I mean, there's always a next discovery that's out there and possible. It's always shifting and stuff like that. So they might find it there. So that 30,000 years ago, they're drawing stuff on cave paintings. The first written history, like people jotting down, this is what is out there, is Babylonia. I saw that.
Samaria?
Babylonia, Samaria and all that. Is they
Sumerians, they actually had let me go over to that.
You're manning this ship right now. I'm not. I'm just a beautiful co-pilot.
So, there's a goddess, and
I know you're talking about. She felt bad that I think that's
no, that's not what I'm talking about. The earliest mermaid. So this is the one that's like he's saying, documentation. The earliest mermaid was the ancient Syrian goddess. I'm probably gonna butcher her name. Don't judge me. Atogadas. And she was symbolized for fertility and well-being, which I think is really cool. So she was our first, and then I think after
nothing
that,
like a fish bottom to get them babies out. Am I right?
and then I think after that, that's when Greek mythology. You look all over the world. There's some type India. There's some type of depiction. Natives from all over the world have some type of goddess that has the hybrid of human.
So we start seeing it all over the place. It's in Mesopotamia. It's in it's during the old Babylonian period. The one I was referring to actually was from Assyria, which was 1000 BC, where the goddess Atargus, mother of Assyrian queen Semiramis, loved a mortal and unintentionally killed him. So she turned herself.
How did she kill him? Does it say?
I don't know. Probably some bad coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. I don't know.
Well, these mermaids definitely aren't no Little Mermaid tale from Hans Christian Andersen and Disney. They were known to have fangs, sharp nails.
And I think that, honestly, I think that, and this is not going to be a surprise, but I think that if mermaids are out there now, I think that they would be pretty, compared to what, Little Mermaid and all those mermaid tales, I think they would be actually pretty hideous. Because they would have, in my opinion, they would have gills. Because I think if they're actual mermaid, if they're mammals and I was gonna say mammalian, which sounds like a word. I don't know. I'm gonna say if they were mammals like dolphins or whales, I think more would be spotted because they'd have to come up for oxygen. So I think if in the world of mermaids and mermen existing, I think that unless there's some magical magical world that's opened up to us where people can breathe underwater without any kind of gills or anything like that. I think that these mermaids are going to be more fish than human, and they might have a humanoid structure.
I think maybe the origin of them, no. Because when you think of, like, as we know, people are always trying to hunt them down. Like, if somebody found a freaking mermaid today, of course they would capture it.
But they don't. So here's one of the issues is that.
But what I'm trying to say is, again, I'm going back to evolution, that, like, maybe they did look more humanoid, like half fish, half human, and then over time of evolution of realizing that they need to stay in the depths of the ocean and maybe finding underwater caves where they can come up for air. Over time they evolved, their skin color changed, they got more scaly because they couldn't come up to the sunlight anymore, because when they did, pirates would try to catch them.
Yeah, and I think that if that were the case, that would be a very slow evolution. I mean, their life cycle would probably be similar to. I think it could happen, but I think that for me, probably if mermaids do exist, they were always kind of these humanoid. The reason why people would call them half human, half fish is because they were humanoid in their structure, essentially, but they would have gills and the sort like that. I just, in terms of, there could be the possibility of them evolving past this, but it'd be kind of a tough sell, and stuff like that. I think that, because, if you look at dolphins have been around for a very long time, and they haven't adjusted to, humans poaching and all that stuff. And they haven't, developed gills and stuff like that, but they're still, air breathing and the sort. Yeah, I don't know. I think that they'd probably have gills.
Possibly. I mean, again, with
I think that's the only thing that.
But another, like, theory that people say is that, like, the dolphins, like, roam with the mermaids as dolphins have this gravitation towards humans as we do dolphins. We have this bond, this connection with them. Dolphins also are like that with
big ups to all you mammals out there.
So to me, I'm like, and I feel like mermaids could probably speak, like, when you hear the beautiful and like the beautiful singing that dolphins do. I think that mermaids, that's how they communicate underwater also.
You think they're aerialing it up?
Echo the dolphin status.
You think they're singing part of this world, part of your world down there?
I think that's probably the mistake that maybe the pirates had. Like, oh, they had these beautiful voices. What they probably heard was probably the fact that these beautiful creatures, they could hear them talking to each other under the water. And they were probably like, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah. I don't know. So mermaids show up all over mythology, all over even Christian mythology. The Little Mermaid was based on a Hans Christian Andersen tale. Like, mermaids show up all over the place, including a lot of pirates' tales. I mean, they show up. Christopher Columbus reportedly saw.
Have you read into what his statement
I mean,
was?
I figured it was a bunch of sea eyes looking at crazy shit. To be honest, like anything that people who have been stranding on a ship for that long see, I'm like, well, yeah, let's take your account with a grain of salt.
Well, it's funny.
You've probably gone mad.
He had heard these stories, right, of people going these voyages and finding these beautiful mermaid creatures. And so when he set out to sail with a few, of his men, they saw 3 mermaids pop out of water and, like, sitting on rocks. And as they got closer, he was like, he describes them as being kind of manly looking, not very attractive. And so they fleed out of there, like, really, really fast, which I think what people say that he depicted it as is more like at least the pirates and the seafaring tales,
the manatees. Thank you. They a lot of, like, Christopher Columbus and some of the pirates that saw these quote unquote mermaids. they're explained away by manatees. And if you do look at manatees, I mean, to give some credence to that theory, if you look at manatees, they do look like ugly
cute
ass humans. They're adorable. I love manatees.
You know what they look like to me? I know, totally off subject, like big surprise. I feel like they, again, this goes with the theory of evolution. They, to me, look like they're half hippopotamus and half fish.
That's basically what they are, because they're mammals. That's basically what they are.
When you think about a hippopotamus, they can't breathe underwater, but they are submerged in water majority of the time. So over time, why couldn't they, like, really? Why couldn't they,
Slurp.
have, a fishtail? Just like, why couldn't a human?
They could, but the problem with that
mammals,
is
too.
that here's the problem with that whole thing with if mermaids exist and if they are air breathing, if they don't have gills for their oxygen, they'd have to, like, the mammals that can stay the longest underwater, what's it, like 3 or 4 hours? So if you have
Longer.
I mean,
I think whales can stay under longer.
I think it's about 3 or 4 hours for whales. I'll look it up. I don't know. It's not, relatively speaking, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not incredibly long. So if mermaids are coming up for air, and there's an abundance of them, at least a decent amount of them, I can't picture a world where they would breathe air, and not at least have more accounts.
Like I said, like it's an argument, and it's an idea that we know that there are underwater like bubbles where there's like caves that you can go into, and then there's like that hole, where they can go above sea level and breathe air. So I think they're very smart creatures, very smart beings. I also think that there's a possibility, if my theory is wrong about the evolution, that they could be extraterrestrial, that they can be from another dimension, another planet. You hear these UFO stories in our last podcast, seeing the unidentified underwater object. That just goes to show, like, what if there's this underwater base, they have these hybrids, maybe they created, maybe they can be both. You also hear stories of mermaids being able to walk, like being able to, like, morph into human form. So there's, the universe is just so huge, so amazing, and it's just to have, like, an open mind to all that. Like, I can see it all being relevant.
But I think that that's a possibility, right? That anything is possible in this funny world of ours, and I think that mermaids have the possibility of existing. I just don't think. Let's get into some of the modern evidence, if there is any.
Yes, I have it right here.
Do not. So we to research this, we watched that goddamn bullshit Animal Planet documentary, pseudo documentary, where they made up a bunch of footage. Fuck
The
them.
weird thing about that is, like, when we first watched it, I think we both.
I don't say we both.
I felt like we both.
No, don't say we both. I was like,
I really felt like it was.
This
it
looks
was
fake
true.
to me.
And then now watching, it's a different video, but it's the same actor, and now he seems more like he's acting.
It's not a different video. It's the same. It was put on by Animal Planet.
No, because I remember it was like a documentary style. It was talking to him before, and he was, like, really nervous, like, about how people don't want me to be talking about this, and it was just kind of, the whole thing's just really wild. Why was it on Animal?
Because they want it. They're like, we don't get enough viewership from the fucking Puppy Bowl. Let's get some more buzz. I mean, the person who made the show came out. So we're talking about, to step a few steps back, we're talking about in 2013, Animal Planet did a little bit of a War of the Worlds type of thing, where they're like, we have this new documentary, and we're gonna release unseen footage of evidence of mermaids. And it came out in 2013, and it showed up, and people started looking into it. That one of the supposed scientists who said he was from this organization, people started reaching out to this organization, and the organization's like, we don't know who that is. That's an actor. And then so that forced the director to be like, well, it was a pseudo documentary. We made up footage for it, but it's based off of sightings and stuff like that.
Based off of sightings, and also based off of like the possibility of like science, like again, like what I'm saying, like of evolution, that it is a possibility.
Anything's a possibility, but there's the fact that I think that anything you take from that obviously anything you take from that documentary is just fucking malarkey. They just made up all the footage and all that stuff. Surprise.
So
what is the real evidence?
Let's do some so we've gone way back, and now let's bring it up further to some of the definitely fake stuff that's happened. P.T. Barnum, supposedly he bought this off somebody. Knowing him, the con artist that he probably had it made. He probably sewed up himself. Everybody, came to his freak show. And prior to him opening up, his circus freak show, he had a museum. And so in this museum, he always wanted weird artifacts. And this museum was a mermaid. And when I say that, she wasn't alive. So it was supposedly
or a mermaid.
his whatever corpse, and it was supposedly like half monkey and half
P.T. Barnum
fish, like cut down the middle and sewn together.
Was such a shyster in such an old timey beautiful way, because he just literally, I think he took a monkey and some
fish and sewed it together.
They took a monkey, a fish, and some craft paper and fucking made a half human, half fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's some definitely, like, when doing research, there's a lot of like BS out there. So and it kind of bums me out, because I always heard stories about these circuses that had like real life mermaids, and I'm always like, oh, like, like I wish,
I don't think any of these, like, I don't think there's any specimen that is out there that is of a real mermaid. Whether, especially P.T. Barnum, that guy was a complete, fascinating and kind of, I don't know what's crazy but interesting con man. Like he would dupe people, into seeing these freak shows that weren't real.
So let's get into the good stuff.
Let's get into the real evidence.
Now, of course, there's the skeptics. And
I don't think I'm in the minority on this one. I think a lot of even the people who believe in UFOs think mermaids are. Again, I believe in the existence of the possibility of a mermaid, but I don't believe in any kind of compelling evidence that's out there at this moment.
So, in a museum in Denmark, they have an actual skeleton of a mermaid. And we will post it on our Instagram. You can Google it so you can see it for yourself.
I'm Googling it as we speak.
I read up a lot of it. I read up on it, watched videos. There are a little bit of people trying to say that it's fake. A lot of people that have gone to this museum are just baffled, because they're just like, if they could take anything out of this, it's fascinating. Like it's mind-blowing. Like, is this real? Like, am I really looking at a mermaid? And
I see a statue. I don't see any.
It's a skeleton. You'll see the skeleton.
I'm looking for it. Oh, here it is.
Of Denmark.
Here it is. I'm seeing this.
So,
oh, jeez.
Why, oh, jeez?
I don't know. I don't know. Go ahead.
So, seeing that is kind of relevant to me. Like I said, there are people that say that it might be fake, but there are places all over the world that have actually found. They're not the first one. I think theirs is probably the best looking out of all of them, and there's a lot of fakes out there. that have found skeletons that look like half human, half fish. So, to me, like, that was kind of like my gratification. And whether or not that skeleton is 100% real, I 100% believe that they exist.
I don't know. Is it your mind telling you that you want to believe? Do you want to believe more than you actually believe?
Here's the thing. I want and wish they look like Ariel, the Little Mermaid, like this beautiful whatever,
they're gonna look nasty story. If they're real.
The real deal is if you're living majority under the water, you got weird scaly skin and your hair is probably all who knows what. But so for me, I'm like I don't believe that they're all this beautiful, which I think would be really cool. But I do think that they are more, like you were saying, like more fish, like more going back to the creature of the dark. For
the record, I don't say that. I said if they exist, they're fish-like. I'm not saying that they're right around fish-like.
We've talked about in our episode a few back about the reptilian race, the creature from the Black Lagoon, and how
another universal monster.
So very universal, because I can see him being, a possibility that he is reptilian, but on the flip side, I could also see him being what people are thinking they're seeing as a mermaid. So I go back and forth with that because he's very humanoid, like very smart, very intelligent. Like when you look at a fish, you're like, not to be mean to the fish, but you're kind of them.
Dolphins aren't fish.
I'm just talking about
they live in the ocean.
I'm talking about the bloop bloops. Talking about a clownfish, they're just like blooping around. So, so that's, always going back to the old like horror films, but
you just want to believe that all universal monsters are real in some way. We've gone down to it.
Hey, the imagination from all the writers came from somewhere. I'm just saying.
Are you saying that Baron von what's his name? I don't know who wrote Creature from the Black Lagoon. I'm just gonna say it's a guy named Baron. You're saying that he based it off of actual mermaids? But that was a swamp creature, right? You're saying there's swamp mermaids? Stinky ass swamp mermaids? Hanging out with the gators?
Again, if they're extraterrestrial, they're coming down from somewhere and they're finding a habitat that they can chill in.
Yeah, but I think if you come all the way from a sophisticated planet, sophisticated enough to come over to us, I don't think you're hanging out in a swamp. I think you're choosing more prime real estate.
Oh,
probably a private island somewhere. A lot of
sophisticated people eat at McDonald's, so I mean, let's talk about.
So you're saying that the aliens come down
we are,
to the swamp to slum it for fun?
That's part of their habitat.
Okay, or they just realize the value of a swamp. We're too naive and too simple-minded to realize the value of a swamp.
Maybe.
You're welcome.
We just look at it differently.
We just look at it differently. We're just different. So is there more to it? Is it just some skeleton in Denmark?
So she's
some fake skeleton in Denmark.
They say she's 18 years old, so she's young.
Mm-hmm.
And she has thick, long dark hair.
Mermaid thick.
Which I don't know. I thought it was really cool.
I just think that.
I wish she was mummified. I wish she was like somehow like dried out on land so they can see her facial features. It's just literally a skeleton. So I'm like, God.
Should we get like a GoFundMe going? Not that travel's even a thing now.
God.
Should we get a GoFundMe page to get you over to Denmark to stare at this dumb skeleton?
I would love to go.
This fake skeleton?
I would love to go. I would probably cry. I'm not even gonna lie.
You wouldn't cry.
Yeah.
I would cry that we went all the way to Denmark to look at a fake skeleton made up by some goddamn farmer. What's a farmer? So I looked. I did some laptop research as we spoke, and it was found by a farmer in Denmark. The fuck's a farmer doing finding it?
That's the thing.
Exactly. Bullshit.
We could be digging in our backyard. You don't know. That to me,
Are you
that's
saying
even more relevant.
Are you saying I should go dig in my backyard looking for mermaid skeletons?
Think about, like, not to talk crap on paleontologists or archaeologists, but, like, some of them be hungry.
Hey,
they give you plenty of stuff. You never know. You can't trust people.
Hey, Indiana Jones is my friend. I consider him a friend, and he's an archaeologist.
He's a pothead.
Hey, Harrison Ford, love you. Wait, what? Hold on.
What?
Wait, what? I think you slid past me the idea that archaeologists are eating. What are they doing? Or they're making up? I heard something about archaeologists get hungry.
They, like, if I was an archaeologist, okay, for instance.
What does that mean?
And I found Queen Nefertiti's, like, sarcophagus before.
You'd eat it?
Like, no, I'm saying, like, they're
literally.
I'm saying, like, they're, like, I mean, they're Russian too. So what if somebody just wanted to get that, like, extra brownie point, like, look, like, made this name for himself by, finding the mermaid or whatever. Because there are other mermaids, like skeleton, mummy things that obviously are, like, artificial. So make sure when you're doing your research on this, there's a lot of stuff out there that's not real. So
yeah, I mean, there's the thing with mermaid is that I think you could believe in the possibility of mermaids, but the fact that if anybody's claiming that they have undisputed proof that the mermaids exist, I think they're full of malarkey, because again, we're talking about the open oceans, and it's not something that's been seen, so it's all speculation. It's based off of some drunken pirate tales and some ancient myths. So I think that I do like the idea of, like, all kinds of shit in the ocean that we don't know. Like, not to give any credence to this craziness in Denmark, but we were looking online as we were researching. They just grabbed a giant squid in 2013. It took them that long to fucking grab a giant squid. But it's super weird that in a world, if mermaids exist, that they're chilling so deep down, because you have to picture they're chilling pretty deep down, because although we say that the ocean is largely uncharted and that stuff, and it's largely unknown, we've charted quite a bit in the recent years, and we've made a lot of progress. It's crazy to think that the
thing that sucks, and, like, it's not even our social media, like, people even back in the 50s would, like, make up stuff. Like, we were just listening to, I don't know if it was a podcast or it was something on YouTube, but it was, like, somebody talking about how, the new pasta that's made on trees, and people were calling up the company asking how they can buy this plant and whatever. And so this back in the 50s, but, like,
money made on trees. I'll take pasta made on trees any fucking day.
So back then, like, it was like, you would hear those stories. Definitely not as much, but now with social media, that's the thing that kind of sucks. So, like, say that, like, I saw a mermaid, or I saw a real UFO, and I had an image of it, a video, image, whatever. Nobody would believe me, and that's the fucked up thing. Like, I could
look
have
at this
legitimate evidence, raw footage, and people would probably think, oh, it's Photoshop. That's the mentality that people have nowadays, and it sucks.
Yeah, and look at this stuff that came out of this 2013 documentary, pseudo documentary. I'm gonna call it a work of fiction, because none of that video footage is real. All that stuff, like, if there's any videos of mermaids, that's what's floating out there, is that all that fake stuff. So I think that the people dismiss it as not being real. And to get back to the episode before, I think that some stuff kind of makes people get off the trail and kind of just lose interest in this stuff, because there's so much fake shit out there. Again, with, like, my talk about the UFOs and how they might need a rebrand, is because there's so much fake shit out there, and the people really trying to find out the truth and trying to find out the facts, it kind of completely muddies the waters and the idea of it existing.
Yeah.
By people, and the problem is, here's the thing too, is that the people, so there's people who are genuinely looking for mermaids and UFOs and stuff like that. Fine enough, and there's people who are saying, I want to see a mermaid. Who knows? It's in mythology. It's on all this stuff, and I want to find one. I haven't found one yet. Who knows? People are gonna go to all the made up shit instead of these people actually trying to find it, who might find any kind of specks of evidence and making people curious. It's the same thing with UFOs. Like all this stuff, all the made up videos and stuff is the first thing that, not so much now anymore with the UFO Pentagon files, but all the stuff that's made up is like first headlines and stuff, or first thing seen, not first headlines, but kind of muddies the water on that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. If anybody knows me, they know that I wouldn't be posting like no fake evidence online.
Yeah, I know you're gonna. Oh, hold on, you're not gonna be posting any fake evidence. What about the?
No, I'm saying.
What about the made up skeleton in Denmark?
Oh my god, I'm saying if I legit.
If you knew, you wouldn't Photoshop.
If I had footage, and the fucked up thing is, like, I feel like Men in Black, the government, they would probably try to shut me down regardless.
And that's the thing too, is that if you had some of that stuff, I don't think we were kind of hinting at and touching base and kind of discussing before the podcast. Someone's banging the microphone.
Whoopsie.
We had a whole discussion about that. We're not going to get into that. Sidebar.
Yeah, I got kicked a little while ago.
You got kicked?
I got footed.
You got footed.
He footed me. He didn't kick me. He footed me. Because if he got kicked, he'd get like his laptop thrown across the room.
I would never kick you. But what was I saying? I don't know what I was saying.
How much you love me.
I was saying how much I love you.
And I'm a wonderful mother. And how much you're going to spoil me on Sunday.
Yep.
Because I'm so great.
Yep. Happy Mother's Day, by the way, to everybody who's... Hopefully we'll get this episode out before Mother's Day.
Doubt it. Knowing that guy over there.
If not, happy belated Mother's Day to all y'alls. All y'alls. Yeah, you made me completely lose my train of thought.
Good.
Great. Oh.
No, anyway, so I like, again, just going back to like just footage in our modern day society, like everything everything's based on fake news and conspiracy theories, like so many things with the pandemic going on now, like the pandemic, like, like we don't know what to believe anymore. Like, and so why would somebody believe?
Here's the thing: is there's a lot. So I remembered my point. Let me get back to it real quick.
Good boy.
Thank you. Is that if you did have a piece of footage, and I'm not saying that, I think if mermaids were discovered, I don't think Men in Black would be coming down and hiding that, because it's another sea creature. Is it wild as fuck? Yeah, but I
think they would be hiding it, because if
the only way they would be hiding it is if they are sea creatures who are as smart as dolphins and they work together and stuff like that.
Smart as humans and dolphins.
Even if they were smart, maybe as up to par with the intelligence of humans, maybe they would hide it. But I think that the only time that the government would be hiding it is if there was some like lost city of Atlantis that they were living in, like some kind of like they were like going through rush hour.
What if fantasy like it would be like if I think it's happening. I think in our lifetime they're going to find Atlantis. Like
I think there was an Atlantis. I think there
really is. There really
something
is.
But here's the thing. I don't know if it's. I think that the myths. I think that the city was real. I think that the Greeks made up how just kind of it got exaggerated just how technologically advanced they were, and I think it got sunk. I think some kind of catastrophe happened or something like that. I think they will find Atlantis. No. In terms of Atlantis, that's like. I think
Atlantis. I have conspiracy theories.
Of course you do. Why wouldn't you?
I think it actually took off. I think it lifted up.
Sure.
To another planet.
I think if that's the case, I don't think we'll ever find Atlantis. But I think in the world of like a city that got sunk for whatever reason, I think we'll find Atlantis. But I don't know if there's I don't think there's compelling evidence that there's a current like metropolis undersea that's like everybody's under a bubble.
There's a lot of things they found under the sea, but that's where it's so hard for them to actually, dive down and figure out like how old it is, because a lot of stuff is way older than we think it is, like I was saying earlier.
Well, I'm sure dating for
So it's a little
getting back into archaeology,
baffling.
dating is probably a nightmare with that stuff.
So it's a little baffling,
Yeah, I don't think the government, so I think that, I don't think there's a big government conspiracy into this mermaid thing, because I don't think the government would be covering up any kind of, unless they're smart as fuck and they have developed highly sophisticated technology undersea where they're living under a bubble essentially, and they're like have their little metropolis where they don't need to come up for whatever reason. I don't think government's hiding it. I don't think this is a big government conspiracy. I'm not, as you know, like I'm big on like, ooh, like modern UFOs. What the fuck is that? Like that's very much in my wheelhouse, and I'm very much into like, oh, that'd be cool if that fucking creature was actually existed. I'm very skeptical on. It takes a lot of evidence for me to believe that the government is covering up certain things, and I just don't think that I don't think they're covering it up, because I don't think they have any reason to. I mean, that they're in the cahoots with these mermaids? Like the mermaids are actually the NWO?
I think it's the government not knowing or knowing. There's a possibility that they've captured them before and not realizing how intelligent they are. When you think about like octopuses, they have like multiple brains, and they can like morph their bodies to look like their prey, change their colors, like camouflage themselves, like.
Well, octopuses are insane. Like everything about octopuses are insane. Their DNA and all that stuff, and I think that they kind of live in some.
They're very alien to this.
They are, well, in terms of their makeup. There is some dispute that they are very alien in nature. I don't know. I don't think that. So we know all about octopuses, right? But I don't think that we might not. I don't think we can expand that over to attributing that to mermaids, because we just don't know. I mean, and especially since all the mermaids that at least have been recorded in history, have been these half human, half fish that are very, like, the thing that kind of lends me off the tree of these old theories is that they're always like conveniently very half human and conveniently very half fish. Like it's always like split up. I don't know.
I mean, that's to me. What's the big deal?
I don't know.
What's the big deal? Like, why couldn't there be a being that was like us that was slightly different?
Sure, 100%. There could be. The possibilities are there, and I just don't think that there's been enough compelling evidence, especially like, there hasn't been.
Well, we just have to leave it for our viewers and for the world, but I will never stop believing, and I will never stop searching.
No, I don't think anybody should. I don't think anybody should stop searching the sea and leaving mermaids open as a possibility. I don't think that should happen, because you just shouldn't. You shouldn't paint yourself in that corner, because who knows? Who knows? Especially with these old myths and stuff like that. Who knows if they?
I think that's where it gets me, because.
Yeah, no, I don't think that the Christopher Columbus and these pirates and everything I don't think they saw mermaids as they depicted them. I don't think
Christopher Columbus definitely didn't, because what he said he was just like he saw something else. I definitely do believe that other voyagers did.
So I think even if they're confusing, I think even if they saw mermaids, I think they're confusing, because I think that the idea of these half human, half fish, completely conveniently like split up in the middle, like I think that's a little too convenient. I don't think it's maybe they saw mermaids that were different, that were actual mermaids, and they're the only thing they could grasp and I'm lending you a little bit of a bone here. The only thing they can grasp is that, the top half looked human and the bottom half looked fish, but maybe the top half was more humanoid and the bottom half was more amphibious.
Yeah,
or
and I mean,
fish-like.
if you're thinking like again, like this is where my mind goes
not
in
thinking.
all these places, but like if you think like, well, if they're anything like like we talked about vampires in one of our episodes, like if a vampire can like manipulate, as we all know, majority of vampires manipulate,
As we all
and they
vampires
can lure you in. That's also the story of the mermaids.
I don't mean to get back to
lure
a
you
few episodes, but you think vampires can lure you in? You believe in vampires, right?
Supposedly, they can.
Nah.
Yeah, I believe in vampires.
Vampires
obviously.
are stinky ass.
But, like, so with mermaids, it's the same thing. It said, supposedly, like, in one country, this woman, like, her husband went missing. The boat came back down the river. The water's pretty shallow there, so it's not like he drowned. His clothes were intact. Everything was there, so it's almost like he took his clothes off to take a little dip. And there is where they believe they believe in mermaids. And so when the guy that was visiting this country and had talked to her about it, she's known as like the widow in town. She said that she believes that a mermaid had taken him away, and he asked her, well, what does this mermaid look like? And it must be this old native thing that's been brought down through generation, but they have white skin and red eyes. So maybe something when her eyes turn red, she can manipulate you with your mind. Going back to extraterrestrials.
Whoa, we are going into uncharted water. We're talking about...
They can talk to you through your head, lure you in, whatever. This is...
They can make a beautiful cheese casserole now that we're just making up shit.
This is where it goes. I'm a Pisces. Maybe I'm part fish.
It could happen.
I come from the
Who
planet
knows?
Neptune.
Maybe I'm being controlled by a mermaid.
Well, you do have Aquarian rising, so you do have a
I
little
don't know
bit
what the
of...
fuck that means. All right. This has been ExtraNormal Podcast.
I want to know
Oh,
what you guys think about this episode. And
yeah, I'm very curious.
I hope we kind of sparked some interest in you. I know this isn't really a topic you hear a lot, you know?
No, and I think that there's not a lot of evidence to pick off the bone on this one, but I like where everybody's mind leads to on this one.
And I think it'll be really fun, you know, we can kind of play off each other's ideas, you know, and just get kind of wild with it, because why not?
Getting wild.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. This has been ExtraNormal Podcast. You can find us at ExtraNormal Podcast on Instagram. You can find us at ExtraNormal P on Twitter. You can email us at extranormalpodcast@gmail.com. Where can they find you, Brianna?
Darling Dolly. The Dolly is spelled with a 0, not a O. The Dollhouse Sparkles. For all my alien fun merch. And yeah, we're just so thankful for you guys, and
yeah, it's been a blast. Thank you for thank you for everybody who's listened, everybody who's curious. We enjoy this. We enjoy talking about it.
If you're watching us, so fucking awesome. Thanks for viewing. If you're listening to us, we appreciate you. If you want to see these crazy faces, check us out on YouTube. What's our YouTube link?
You could just find us on our channel is ExtraNormal Podcast. So just look it up on that end, and you'll find us. Well, this has been Chris and Brianna on ExtraNormal Podcast, and I always say at the end, be friends of aliens
and mermaids.
TT.